Hi, I'm Jeff with Radical Honesty, and I'm on the topic of why there's an increase of pastors wanting to leave the ministry. Okay, it's almost an epidemic now. And one of the top reasons, and I'm going to go through many of them, okay, during this series, is a loneliness. Loneliness, you feel like, there's no one supporting you. Now, you might say, well, why do pastors feel lonely? You minister to people, doesn't that, count for anything? Well, anyone who, has a family or work with coworkers realize that a person's presence doesn't mean that they support you or you feel comfortable with them. You could be surrounded with people and feel lonely, and that includes being in the ministry. Sometimes loneliness is caused by your own problems. You feel like, you're like Superman, you're the mini Messiah and you help people, so you can't show any weakness. That's a self-induced loneliness, and you got to solve that because no one, even a minister, lives alone. We need to bear each other's burdens, as the Apostle Paul tells us to. Sometimes the loneliness can be caused by culture. Problems arise in ministry. I've been in Asian culture, for got maybe 25 years of history in that. And in the Asian culture, it's a shame-based culture, and people don't want to admit problems. Okay, so if you admit problems, they see that you're the problem because you have problems. No one talks about it. That's a cultural issue, and if you want to maintain being in a shame-based ministry, you got to bear that. You got to bear that. That's a difficult one. And you might have to seek out people who think wider beyond the culture. Sometimes it's the corporate sort of, atmosphere of the church. Now, this happens in large churches, okay, where it's runs like a machine. This is what you do. This is what you do. You become administrators, okay? And you know what? You may not like it. You may not have gone into ministry for this, and administrators can be lonely, and you can never really fix the issues. It just keeps on going month after month, year after year. But you feel that you can't tell anybody because if you complain, you can lose your job. That's really tough, That's really tough. Why are you doing this ministry? Sometimes the loneliness can be caused by untrustworthy people. You talk to people thinking that you're friends and then they stab you in the back. That's happened to me a number of times, okay? That's really a bad feeling to get because then you realize, I can't trust anybody. They use it against me. And then you get a little gun shy. You don't want to talk to anybody. Sometimes it's a matter of depth of understanding. You find people who talk to, they can understand it intellectually, but they can't understand it in their heart because they don't understand the ministry. They might want to fix you, And sometimes in the ministry, we need fixing. We need wisdom. But sometimes it's not a matter of fixing. It's a matter of emotional support. And most people in church, people who are not in the ministry, they can't really adequately give you that type of support. Sometimes it's theological. You realize you're not a good match for this church. You're either too progressive yourself in a conservative church or you're too conservative in a progressive church. And you feel that, they're isolating you because you don't fit in, okay? Now, there are many reasons why ministers get lonely. It doesn't name maybe five of them. But I really want to talk about what we can do about it, okay? As the Apostle Paul said, we need to bear each other's burdens. That means, one, we have burdens and involves other people who will listen to you and care for you and support you. To be honest, those types of individuals are hard to find, okay? It's supposed to be easy because that's how the church is supposed to work, according to the great apostle. But churches have become sort of institutions, they become societies, and we don't know how to minister to one another. So I would say is ask God to bring someone in your midst that you can bear your burden without being fixed, that you can bear the burden by being understood, that you can bear your burden even though perhaps it's culturally unacceptable to the people around you. See, ministry is hard. People think we have an easy job, okay? In terms of physical exertion, it is easy. But in terms of isolation and loneliness, That is really at the forefront of why ministers want to quit the profession.